Hello, Assalamualaikum and hi. Today we're going to learn about the activity life cycle and user interface of Android application uh, and also layout such as frame layout, linear layout, table layout, relative layout, and grid layout. Okay, uh, so as you can see here, uh, the activity life cycle. The Android application, we go through different stages in the activity lifecycle. Uh, there are actually seven methods involved in this activity lifecycle. Basically, like on create method, on start method, on pause method, on restart, on resume, on stop, and on destroy. Okay, so the activity will be behave at different stages and it will need different methods to run the application. Okay, by defining the correct method, the correct coding inside the correct method, we can optimize our application so that it can run faster and having interact best interactivity with the user. Okay, so going to see this table. So the onCreate method is basically is called when the activity is created right after you click the icon. Okay, and it will immediately call the onStart method. The onStart method is called when the activity is about to become visible. It's not yet visible, but it's about to become visible just after the onCreate method is called. Okay, when the activity is visible and about to start interacting with the user, and the user can start interact with the application, you call the onResume method. Okay. And onPause method is called when the activity is switched to another activity, such as when you navigate to another page. So the current page will be put on pause. Okay. So next, the restart method is called when the activity has been stopped and is about to be started again. So this restart method is called only when the onStop method after onStop method is called. Okay. So onStop method is called when the activity is no longer visible and the user may be restart it later. And the onDestroy method is called when the activity is about to be destroyed. Okay, so we're going to look into the details. Okay, the first callback method is the onCreate method. This method is called whenever you open any application on the Android apps. Okay, so if you want the code to run and to initialize something, you may want to put the coding inside this method. Okay, so as you can see here, if you start, if you have a startup logic, okay, something that you have to define in order the application to be running smoothly, you have to define it in on create method. Okay, uh, another thing is initialization. You may want to do inside the on create method. So if you first create your Android project, you can see inside the main activity.java, the onCreate method is automatically created for you at first. So the content inside this activity, the onCreate method is the first one is the call to the overloading method on the superclass. Okay, super.onCreate. The onCreate method that is located on the superclass, we have to call it. And then we set the content view of the layout. Okay, what layout is we're going to use for this Java code. Okay. Okay, and then immediately after the onCreate method execution is finished, this happen very fast, mostly millisecond only, and the activity will immediately go to the onStart method. The onStart method we invoke when activity is called into the started state by completing the onCreate method. So you have to complete onCreate method first, and then you will be going to the onStart method. Okay. The onStart method will make activity visible to the user, and this method execution will finish very quickly. Okay. So basically, the onStart method is just intermediary between the onCreate method and the onResume method. So the main method we're going to look into is the onResume method, where user can start interacting with the apps when it is on resume method, or it is in the resume state. Okay, so most of the core functionality of an application, Android application, is implemented in on resume method. Okay, the app will stay in the resume state until another activity happens to take focus away from the apps, like getting a phone call or the screen turn off, etc., etc. In any case, if the interruption events happen in resume state, the activity will enter to the pause state, and the system will invoke the on pause method. Okay, so when the activity return from pause state, it will go directly to the resume state, and we call the on resume method. Okay, so due to this, we have to implement the on resume method to initialize the component that we release on pause method. So we have to create a coding to initialize the component that not all, but some the component will be released on the on pause method. Okay, because the components need to be used by another activity. Okay, right. So for example, if you use a camera, okay, you might want to initialize a camera inside the on resume method, because when you pause it, the camera will be returned to the Android, and Android will allocate which apps can use the camera right now. Okay, so if the user is interacting with the apps on resume state, so the camera will be given to the current application. Okay, so if the interruption happen, we have to release the camera in the on pause method. So as you can see, inside this on pause method, we release the camera so that other application can use the camera at that time. So it is important for us to initialize components that will be shared by another apps, such as camera, GPS, call, etc., etc. Okay. Alright. Then we go to the onStop method. Okay, onStop method is called when the activity is no longer visible to the user. When you switch to another apps, the activity will enter into stop state. When the stop state happen, uh, the resources that are no longer needed to the user are being released. Okay, so the memory is being returned back to the Android. Okay, so that other application may use it. Okay, so the onStop method basically just stop the application, release back all the memory so that it can be used, but the application can be restarted back. So after the onStop method is called, if you want to interact back with the apps, we call the onRestart. OnRestart method, we restart the activity and restore the state the activity from the time that it is being stopped. Okay, so in this method, it will return back the memory from when the on stop method is called. Okay, the on destroy method is when the user click close the application, and the system will invoke the on destroy callback so that the application is closed and all the memory, all the components that is used by the apps is basically returned back to the system, Android system. Okay, so if you want to start back the application, you have to go to the on create method back. Okay, so this is the Android activity lifecycle. Okay, as you can see, when the activity is launched, is when you click the icon, the app icon. So you will go to the on create method. Okay, on create method initialize, and then go to the on start method. On start method, go immediately into the on resume method. Okay, so that user can interact with the activity. So the activity will be running. So when you click, you go to another page. Okay, so the current activity, the current page will go to the background, and another activity will go to the foreground. The activity that is go to the background is in the pause state. So when it is in the pause state, we will call the on pause method. Okay, on pause method. So some of the memory will be returned uh, to the system so that the application can use it. Okay, so when the activity is no longer visible, it will go to the on stop method. Okay, on stop method, and after that, if you want to restart the application, you will go to the on restart method, and you will go back to the on start method. Okay, and lastly, the activity is finished by calling on destroy method is when the user is no longer want to use the application, right? So the summary, as you can see here, you can view it in here. Okay, on create method, it must be implemented, okay, because it is the core method, so that we can call the layout, we initialize the variables, and etc. etc. Okay, right. So going to go to the next slide. The main activity Java 5 code, as you can see, on create method is automatically created for you, and the layout is automatically defined for you inside this class. Okay, so that you no longer have to do this. Okay, but if you add another activity, you have to do this later. Okay, don't forget to add it inside the manifest file. Okay, so this is the manifest file. So basically in manifest file, you can define the package, the icon, the label of the application name, okay, the minimum SDK that this application can use, the maximum SDK, the Android theme, but the maximum SDK is not recommended to be defined. So maybe we just define the minimum SDK for the application to be used. Okay. And after all that, we also need to define all the activity that is involved inside this application. Okay. So if you have activity, we can imagine it as a page. So if you have more page, if you have 10 page, you might want to define 10 activity inside here, inside the Android manifest. Otherwise, the activity cannot be called into your application because the application doesn't recognize it. So you have to register it here. Okay. All right. So another thing is the intent filter. Intent filter is just to define what is the main activity, and the main activity is the activity that is launched first when the user open the application. So we have to define one. If it doesn't define one, okay, the system will define the uh, the application will have some error, and the application cannot be run. So you have to define the main activity inside here. All right. So as we go on in our course, we also um, will see a lot of intent being used in our codes, because intent is used for many things, such as if you want to navigate from one page to another page, we use intent. Also to display notification, to make phone call, to send email. Okay, so all that is using intent. Okay. All right. So next, we're going to see and view about the user interface of Android application. What is the main component that is involved inside the user interface of Android application? So there are two main components. The first one is view. The second one is view group. Okay, the view is the simple building block of the user interface. The interface that is seen by the user can be seen by the user. Okay, so basically it's just a small rectangular box, so such as text view, edit text, buttons. Okay, sometimes people call it widget. Okay, so the official name inside the Android, the for the coding, we call it view. Okay, or unofficial name, you can call it widget, and other names. All right. So the Android view user can see and is visible on the screen. All right. So the view is superclass of the graphical user interface components. Okay, such as uh, text view, edit text, and button. Okay, why and how to use the Android view in Android? The use of view is to draw content uh, of the screen. So there are two there are three ways to use view, how to use a view. The first one, you can implement the view using the code. Okay, or we can use the SML code, or also we can use the design layout inside the Android Studio. Okay, so this is the type of Android view. We have text view. Okay, text view, basically we just put some instruction, such as name. Okay, what user have to do. So it doesn't have other function. Okay, for edit text, we might want to capture some information or input from user. We might want to use the edit text. So edit text, there are different kind of edit text. Okay, as you can see inside the Android Studio. So if you go to the text, so edit text, basically you have the text view, plain view, password, different types, but it is all capturing input from user. Okay, image button, so basically this is just a button, image and image button. So button is something that you can click, and you have some instruction on top of the button. Okay, image button, basically the text is gone, but you can replace it using the image, any image that you might find interesting. Okay, date picker, you have different layout of the date picker. You can choose the layout that is suitable for your application. Then you have radio buttons, okay, chat box, and image view. Image view basically just to display an image. Okay, next we go to the Android view group. Android view group is a subclass of view class and considered a superclass of layouts. Basically, view group is something that you something that you cannot view. It is not visible in on the screen, but it's important to segregate a component inside the layout. Okay, inside the screen. Okay, so you can divide the top one. Might want to put three button. The lower layout, you might want to put image. Okay, something like that. Okay, so the view groups can be used and work together with the view in order to provide a better interaction and a better user interface for Android. Okay, so linear layout, relative layout, frame layout, grid view, and list view is all the example of the view group. Okay, we want to see inside this Android Studio. Okay, so if you see text, this is all view, button also view, widget also view. Okay, layout is a view group. Okay, so as you can see here, constraint layout. When you first create your application, constraint layout is called automatically because it is the layout that is currently recommended by Google, because it provides a faster compilation, run faster, and use less memory than other layout. Okay, so you also have a guide, linear layout. You can use it horizontally, vertically, um, horizontally to basically align your component inside this layout. Okay, frame layout is something that you want to use when you want to display one thing at a time, and you don't want it to be disturbed by other layout. Okay, you don't want the the layout to be hidden if you have many layout inside the screen, and that is when you use the frame layout. Okay, table layout, when you might want to style your application in a row and column manner. You might want to use the table layout. So, okay, table row, so basically the same, but it's just using the row. Space is like the guideline. Okay. You might want to guide something in order to provide a better user interface. Okay. Container is also basically a view group, but it doesn't use as a parent of the layout for an activity. Basically, this view group is just used inside the layout that we have seen before. Okay. So the most popular right now is recycler view, because recycler view you can use it to implement many things, and it's just recommended by Google. All right. So Google, you have a advertisement view and also map view. If you see this icon, you have to download it first before you can use it. Okay. Legacy is basically the component that is no longer recommended by Google, but you still can use it, but it doesn't provide the best interactive uh, experience for user using this layout. Okay. Most of this has been replaced, such as relative layout is replaced by a faster version, and constraint layout. Okay. Tab host you can use. Tab host you can use. Okay, tab layout. Okay. Grid view, basically we can use recycle view to achieve the same thing, uh, and etc. lah. This view basically also we can use the recycler view, right? Okay. So a view group can contain more one or more view inside it, and also a view group can contain another view group. Okay. Where the nested view group also can contain many view and view group. Okay. But bear in mind, if you use a nested view like this, you might want to limit the hierarchy, because the more deep you go into the hierarchy, the more consuming in terms of memory and process. Okay. So that's why Google now recommended using constraint layout, because constraint layout use a flat style, not nested style like this. Just use flat style, where you can define the constraint of the view. Okay. Later we will go more deeper into this view and view group as we go on. Okay, so thank you for listening.